This video take you through some of the important points that has to be taken care while writing programs using NodeMCU. The first and foremost configuration that you need to do before doing the program is you need to select the NodeMCU board, as well as you need to select the communication port what you are going to use for connecting the NodeMCU. So first of all, when you are downloading a new version of Arduino 2.04 or above, the ESP8266 boards will not be available in the board manager. So how will you search whether ESP8266 board is there in your Arduino? In the left hand side, you can click on this board manager. Then you can type here ESP8266. Since it is already installed for me, it is showing ESP8266 by ESP8266 community. So this library will support all these kinds of packages or all these kinds of boards. Various kinds of boards are there. All the NodeMCU boards will be supported by using this package. But the problem is that when you are installing the Arduino for the first time, you will not be able to see this, because by default in Arduino ESP8266 board is not added as a board group. So for that, what you need to do, you need to add an additional URL corresponding to ESP8266 to the Arduino IDE. So this is the URL for adding the ESP8266 board to Arduino. I will add this ESP8266 board URL in the description of this video also, so you can directly copy that URL and paste it in the preferences of your Arduino IDE. So what you need to do, you need to copy this URL, then go to Arduino IDE, click on File, then Preferences. Inside Preferences you can see Additional Boards Manager URLs. So whichever additional board you need to add, the corresponding URL. In my case, this is a URL. That URL I need to paste it here. So I have already pasted the URL here. You can see arduino.esp8266.com stable package ESP8266 index.json file. Similarly, if you want to add say ESP32 also, that corresponding URL also should be pasted here, separated by a comma. So I have added the ESP8266 URL, then I have added a comma, then I have added the ESP32 board file also here. If you are interested in programming only ESP8266, you need to add only this URL to the additional boards manager URLs in the preferences of Arduino IDE. So once this URL is added, you can give OK. Then again, if you are clicking on the board manager and if you are typing this, you can see that ESP8266 by ESP8266 community will be shown, and here there will be a button for install, right? So you need to click on that install. Here in my case it is already installed, so that install button is not visible. But when you are doing for the first time, after adding the board URL in preferences, you need to click on board manager, type this, then you will be getting this ESP8266 with an install button. You need to click on that install. Then only the board will be installed in your IDE. It will be taking little bit of time based on the internet speed. Then you need to click on tools. You can click on board. So without installing the board, as I have shown just now, under the board manager you will not be able to see all these boards. Only board manager will be there. But once the library has been installed, board library has been installed, you can see one ESP8266 group of board is visible here. In this you can see numerous amount of boards are there. In this, which board you should be selecting for doing your programs. So the normally available ESP8266 board is known as NodeMCU 1.0 ESP12V module. This is a normally or easily available module. So for this lecture series, I am going to take this board as my board. So I have selected this board. So the first step is over. I have selected by my board as NodeMCU 1.0 ESP12V module. Second step I need to do is that I need to configure through which communication port I am going to connect the NodeMCU to my laptop, because I am connecting my NodeMCU through a USB cable to my laptop. Each of the USB port will be given a communication port number, COM10, COM5, COM22, etc. Certain numbers will be given to each of the USB ports. So if you want to upload the program correctly onto the board, you need to select the actual port or communication port in which your board is connected. How will I find that? Because now if you are seeing the status bar, you can see only the board is there, communication port is shown as not connected. That means I have not selected the communication port properly. So how will I select that communication port? You need to click on tools, you need to go to ports, and you can see several number of ports. But how will I verify that which is the port which is actually connected to a NodeMCU? Sometimes in your case you may be having some 5 or 6 ports. So how will I verify that this is the actual port in which the NodeMCU connected? So for that, in the search place, you can search for device manager. Search for device manager, select device manager. So the device manager window will be displayed. In this device manager, all the devices will be listed. In this list of devices, you need to expand the ports COM and LPT. You can expand the ports. Here you can see that USB serial CH340 COM15. So this USB serial CH340 is a normal USB to serial driver or USB to serial IC present in the NodeMCU board. Sometimes you will be getting CP12XX COM port also. So either you will be using CH340 IC or CP120X IC. So any of that will be shown here. So this is the board in which, or this is a COM port in which your NodeMCU board is connected. So you should select only COM15 board or COM15 port for programming the NodeMCU in the Arduino. But sometimes you will not be seeing any of this kind of COM port like USB serial or CP1202 or Silicon Labs CP1202. That means none of these kinds of COM ports will be displayed. Then you should identify that you have not installed the proper driver for this NodeMCU, right? When the driver for the NodeMCU is installed, then only this USB to serial will be displayed there. If the driver is not installed, you won't see anything, you will not be able to program the NodeMCU. So these are the two types of drivers available for two different types of NodeMCU boards. There are generally two types of NodeMCU boards available. One is from a company known as Amica, another one is from a company known as Lolin. Whatever I have taken is from a company known as Lolin. So for the Lolin company, CH340 is the driver which has to be installed for detecting the Lolin NodeMCU. But in the case of Amica NodeMCU, you need to install the CP210X library from Silicon Labs. So based on which board you have selected, either it will be from Lolin or from Amica. Generally the board available will be from Lolin company. So you need to install the Lolin driver, that is CH340 driver. So here I have installed this CH340 driver, that is why it is showing here. So in my case I need to select this COM15 for programming. So I need to go to Arduino IDE, click on tools, click on select port. In that you need to select COM15 because that is a port where my NodeMCU is connected. So once it is selected, you can see that in the status bar it will reflect that it is showing that NodeMCU 1.0 board is connected on COM15. So whenever you are going to program a NodeMCU or whatever Arduino board it is, you need to verify that your intended board is displayed or selected here, as well as correct COM port is selected here. These are the two main important things you need to configure before programming any of the Arduino board, including NodeMCU. So the first one, you need to select or verify that proper board is selected, and you need to verify that proper communication port is selected. Now we can go on with the writing of the program, and you can click on upload. If these two settings have not done properly, then you will be getting different types of error, and you will not be able to debug what type of error has caused this problem. So verify that board as well as correct COM port is selected in Arduino IDE before programming any of the Arduino boards.